Hey there folks, Chumpesk here, bringing another audio commentary, and today we have a game between Una, who obviously is now on Team World Elite, used to be known as Moonfans, and he's obviously an elf player, and he's going to be playing against Cash, who's obviously a European, very strong orc. Actually, Cash has innovated quite a bit in terms of orc. He was one of, if not the first player to really do all that circlet play. I think we've actually had him playing recently, quite recently before I've casted a game with him. But this is going to be Elf versus Orc, and this is going to be on Turtle Rock as well, and it's going to be sort of the cross spawns without being diagonally cross spawns. So very interesting positions, because what that means is that this shop, especially the items from the Ogre Magi, are so critical. Whoever can get that watch reward just can do so well, have such good knowledge of when your opponent's coming and what your opponent is doing at this shop. So that's very important, and this is actually a really interesting way to start this off from Una. We've seen other players do this before, where they just use the Ancient Ward to creep out this camp. It gets you a bit more experience. It doesn't get you that level 2, but the problem is that if it is close spawns, which fortunately it isn't for Una, then you can really be in some trouble, because then obviously you don't have your Ancient Ward in your base, and you can be put under lots of pressure. It becomes really hard to block off your base. That is one thing worth doing this versus Orc, where it's a bit tricky, because obviously when you will need to block off your base eventually while you tech to tier 2, and that's going to be trickier if your Ancient Ward needs to walk a bit further. But certainly it's not the end of the world. You certainly can do it. So it looks like Una is now scouting out. I'm not sure. It looks like he did scout close positions first, and then he will be now scouting out the wrong position, so he will be scouting last. But he should be there in time to see everything you need to see. Obviously, what you need to see is that did the barracks go up as at the normal time, or was it an early Voodoo Lounge for an early tech? And obviously, is it a Blade Master? Though certainly that's pretty likely on this map. And actually, we'll have to see now what Cash wants to do. My bet would be he's gonna go to this shop. Maybe, or he'll probably sell his TP by circlet. Maybe he'll creep out this Ogre Magi using that little windwalk trick to get in there, or maybe he'll just try and do some harassment, because Una's harassing. Or actually look at this, the Ancient Ward taking a lot of damage. So if Cash is now coming in here. So he's coming in just in time. He might actually be able to take out the Ancient Ward. This would be a great way to start out this battle here for Cash. Actually, Cash being forced to run back. His grunt should be coming. Yes, there it is there, and it looks like the Blade Master will be able to steal this one creep, and then at that point maybe even this Ancient War could be killed as well. The Demon Hunter now running around. Actually, he might have scouted out into that the circlet's been bought here, so he knows he's in trouble. And now when the Blade Master didn't actually manage to steal that creep kill, but he is going to go for this Ancient War. Wisp coming in to repair, but it's not going to be enough. The Ancient War obviously did need a tree, but it's still not quite enough. The Cash takes a lot of damage on his Blade Master and will be forced to run away. Now he didn't buy any salves before he left, but he will have to go back and buy those now. But he has already started his tier 2 tech, and in the meantime you can see Una's base now has this huge hole in it. He will be putting up an Ancient of Wonders to block it off, but Ancient of Wonders, bear in mind, have so few hit points. They're really easy to take out, and it's just not something you want to be doing. You want to have that Ancient of War for defense, especially if your opponent tries to go for something tricky, and you need in-base defense if they try to go for a tower rush, something like that. It certainly is possible. We saw Violet doing it against Remind quite recently, and it looks like this Blade Master will be moving back out. He does have that 25 experience from the Ancient of War kill, but that's all he has at the moment. He will be looking to get level 2. Meanwhile, this Demon Hunter are significantly closer and picking up some boots now as well. Unfortunately, Cash just a couple seconds too late to pick up those boots for himself. And it looks like actually he's going to continue. Actually, he's going to scout out this Archer. That's really good for him now. And he's actually scouted out the Demon Hunter as well. So Cash will be able to chase down Demon Hunter, do a lot of damage. Does need to be very wary about being mana burn. We see he uses a Windwalk there very quickly, just so that he can actually get all his mana gone. And Cash now taking a lot of damage here on this one grunt. Does need to be careful with it. He might actually now lose it unless he denies it. And yes, he does. Very nice there by him denying that. And that's just so unfortunate there for Una, but at the same time, nice to get that kill. Obviously, grunts not too important. Cash is still building them, but once you get to the late game, the grunts just aren't. They're good for creeping, and they're good for taking damage with a Spirit Link, but that's about it really, because obviously they take a lot of damage from those dots. And look at this, the Dusted Archer now being killed. They're not going for the Demon Hunter, because the Demon Hunter does have boots, even a staff as well actually, so maybe we're going to be seeing some harassment here. That is something you can see at tier 2 if you get a Beastmaster, and then you immediately pick up a Staff of Preservation. You can go do some harassment, and actually no, he's TPing into somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that is. He's TPing right into Cash's base, but actually he's not going to do any harassment. He's instead going off to do this creep jack here. Nice intuition there by him to get that off, and he will be able to do a bit of mana burn at least. And I'm not sure what his big plan is here, though. He will be hitting tier 2 in about a second, so we'll have to see. If he does go for that Beastmaster second, you can do some harassment, because obviously these buildings are very easy to take down, but at the same time, Cash has done a nice job of putting them both in the back, so they will be slightly harder to take down. It looks like Cash not going to take any risks, and going for that Tauren Chieftain second, a very standard choice, and this is really how the Orc versus Elf matchup plays up most of the time. One Ancient of Wind going down, but notice the tier 3 tech goes down first, because what you really need to do is you need to get your tier 3, and then obviously the dots, what really the limiting factor on the dots is when you can get that tier 3 research. So getting that tier 3 before you get either Ancient of Wind is sort of common. Sometimes you see players get one Ancient of Wind, then the tier 3, then the other Ancient of Wind. You certainly have a couple of options though, and Una now going to do this creeping. You can see, oh, he might actually get creep jack. No, it looks like he will be able to pick up the rune in time, and will get out of there promptly. Very, very nice there, and even picks up Pendant of Energy. Very nice on the Beastmaster, and also it can be nice on the Tinker as well. It depends really, but generally you want it on the Beastmaster, because then you can bring out loads of Hawks and have loads of scouting, and always know when that Blademaster is about to come at you. And it looks like it's Tauren Chieftain now, obviously getting that aura first, just because the aura is so good, and the level 1 Shockwave really not too useful. But for the next 2 skill points, he will go for Shockwave almost certainly. And we do now have actually Una doing some more creeping here. Still not level 2, finally level 2 now on the Steam Hunter, and he'll probably want 3 on the Steam Hunter, and then he'll try and do some harassment or something with it. But actually that might be a bit too late, because Raiders will be out eventually. We do see Ensnare just about to start now, and Una now coming back in. Obviously, because he does have this Watch Ward, he can come back in for this creep jack whenever he likes, and he does come back in now. Very, very nice items there actually for Cash, picking up that tome, and it looks like we will be having actually this level 2 Blademaster continue to try and do the creeping up, but 2 Quillbeasts out, and now do a huge amount of DPS, actually do some good damage to Grunts as well, and one Grunt does get ensnared, so maybe we can see Una trying to do a bit of damage there, just forcing a Cash to waste themselves, and also limit the amount he can actually do in terms of creeping, because obviously he needs to be a bit more conservative if his units are damaged, but he is managing to do some good creeping here. First Raider is now out, and bear in mind that Una is going to know exactly when that Ensnare is going to become a factor, and so he is going to move away now, because Ensnare's about to finish. I'm betting, yeah, actually he has already finished, so yeah, Una does need to be careful, because obviously Ensnare and then Surround could just be very, very bad, even with Staff Preservation. It's just not something you want to happen to you, because you'll take a lot of damage, and we can see Una does have some Moon Juice left, but doesn't want to be wasting any. Tier 3 now finishing form, going to pick up an Orb as soon as possible, already picks one up, and uses 1 Moonstone, actually has a 2nd Moonstone for later on, because actually I'm a bit surprised he has a 2 full Moon Rolls, and he is using a Moonstone, so I think he probably should have picked the man off these 2 Moon Rolls first. And looks like we will be having Tinker being picked up third, maybe creeping out this camp as well. That'd be pretty nice for him, and actually some pretty gutsy creeping here from Cash, with only 2-2 on his heroes and only about 6 units here. You do need to be careful, but you can obviously get the Zogul Lord killed quite easily if you do get a good surround, and just sort of make it Shockwaves much less effective by limiting the number of units they can hit. And a nice Tome of Agility +2, as well as the Helm of Valor. That's very, very nice items there for that Blademaster. Going to make him so durable, and really make him a force to be reckoned with, and force Una to be constantly cycloning. Meanwhile, we did have this camp being crept, and Periaptive Vitality being picked up. Ooh, is Una going to go for this camp? This is again a very, very gutsy move with only 3 dots. Obviously the Rune of Healing is going to be very, very critical in this situation, and actually we might be seeing a bit of an attack here from Cash. Or actually no, I think he's going to be going for the Creep Jack, but obviously bear in mind, because Una doesn't have that Ancient of War anymore, he can't really creep out these camps as easily as he would like, so actually it's much less likely that he's going to be creeping them, so Cash is just going to be able to creep them himself. Meanwhile, what item did we get here? Ooh, a War Drum. That's completely useless. It's going to give like +1 damage. You can see on all these dots, absolutely no value whatsoever. Really will probably eventually end up selling those. And I mean, a level 3 now on this Tauren Chieftain, which is a huge thing, and getting a potion of greater mana. Those are fantastic items there for Cash, and Cash now going to maybe even try and pick a fight, because he does have a 3/3 on his heroes, and that's a good time to try and pick some sort of small fight. And it doesn't need to be obviously the game-ending fight, but just a small fight to try and get some sort of small advantage. Maybe wasted TP or something of your opponent, and it looks like that's exactly what he's doing here. He does, I believe, have a speed scroll. He does have a speed scroll, so he can get out of here, and we do have Cyclone finish though, so he does need to be wary, and you can see Una now having to uproot this Ancient of Wonders. It's taken a lot of damage, but it can eat a tree, maybe, although actually I think Cash could come in and kill it. Yes, he's going for that right now, and he does get the kill, and he will be able to get away, losing only a small amount of health and a small amount of mana, so very nice trade there for iCash, because obviously just before a battle like this, really having access to healing potions, things like that is so useful, but bear in mind there's still these 2 Moon Rolls with a bunch of Moon Juice left, if it comes down to it. But certainly they're not as mobile. And actually, look at this, the Blade Master now getting Cyclone. He doesn't have any mana for a Windwalk, but he does have an Invuln Pot and a healing scroll, and the Tauren Chieftain does still have that scroll of speed for a quick getaway as well. And it looks like some nice focus here by Cash, actually taking out a lot of the dots which are out in the front. A bit careless there by Una, but he will eventually be forced back, and actually this Blade Master now in a bit of trouble. Does have that Invuln Pot, as I say, but it is going to force Cash to come back into this battle for a bit longer than he wants to. He does still have the Potion of Greater Mana, which I think he probably will need to use. Healing Scroll now being used, and it looks like a healing scroll now being used, sorry, yeah, and staff now being used on that Demon Hunter to keep it alive, and it looks like we do have Cash eventually being forced back again. Probably going to lose this Raider, but much better than losing your Blade Master, and this Tauren Chieftain very low on health. It is going to require a couple salve just to get him back up, and that's very nice. And actually in the meantime, Cash is expanding. This is a pretty gutsy move there by him. You have to be pretty bold really to be able to get away with something like that, because it's somewhere that that Una is probably quite likely to scout, especially considering it's so close by. But something like an elf expanding here wouldn't be too uncommon, but an orc expanding so close is actually, especially considering he has a wisp here, Cash is just going to be forced to cancel that immediately, and this peon now going to try and hide in the gold mine for a bit, but it won't be able to get away for too long. Just wasted a bit of extra time from Una, and Cash now going to have to heal up and salve up, and that's obviously so important. And yeah, after that he can try and pick another fight, or he can try and creep, but considering he's at 3-3 at the moment, it's going to be a long time before creeping could have any real effect for him. Meanwhile, Una's at 2-2-2, so obviously if Una does any creeping at all, actually look at how high his Demon Hunter is, almost level 3. If Una does much creeping, he's going to get 3-3-3 and then be in a very good position. All his heroes actually very close to level 3, so really Cash is very likely to be picking a fight now. We can see this one Hawk immediately scouts that Blade Master, and even using some bird form here to save those dots from the ensnares. Very nice, and looks like actually this turtle might be picked off here by Una. This would be a huge mistake if Cash doesn't happen, but Cash now, no, he doesn't turn around to get the kill. He does get a dot kill, but that's not quite enough, and we do have the Potion of Greater Healing being picked up by that Beastmaster as well. Level 3 now on the Demon Hunter, but still level 2 on his other heroes, and really 3-3-3 is when Una wants to be fighting, and Cash not going to allow it. Speed Scroll being used, nice Shockwave there hitting a lot of those dots, and we can see Una now moving all the dots to have a very low surface area behind this Pocket Factory. A couple of the dots being caught out and will be taken down very quickly, and actually Peon being cycled, that's gotta be a misclick there, finally hitting that Blade Master, but immediately the spell goes off. Very nice there by Cash, and Una not doing too well in this game at all, losing a couple dots now, and finally actually does manage to save that last one with the TP. But look at this huge army here from Cash, including a bunch of peons to soak up all that damage. Very nicely played there by him, as the spectators are remarking. And actually it looks like we did finally hit 3-3-3 here for Una, but it was just a bit too late, and Una now really does need to do some fighting quickly, because now Cash is at 4-3, and he can quickly get to a 5-5 now, or even, it doesn't really matter what his level Blade Master is, if it stays at 4, as long as he gets that Tauren Chieftain to 5, that's just so useful. And obviously if he crept out this camp, and then went for this camp and maybe this camp as well, he could get that level 5 Tauren Chieftain pretty handily, and he has picked up another Potion of Greater Mana. That's very nice for him, and actually maybe that was a that's a new one. He did use the other one before, and Tauren Chieftain almost level 4, but it's not a huge difference really, and you will probably be able to get it pretty quickly. A couple low dots here as Una moves in here for an attack, but he's sort of snaking in. He really wants to have all his army at one, just because in case the raiders come from the side and ensnare a couple here and then pick a battle here, that's really not something you want to be happening. And Cash actually going to lose a couple burrows. Cash is at 57 food compared to the 48 here of Una, but obviously tier 3 units versus tier 2, a lot more investment has gone into Una's units, and as well as he has 3 heroes as opposed to 2, which are of roughly comparable hero levels. So we'll have to see who's going to come out on top. A couple of Fairy Dragons being built now, and I think that's probably a good choice, considering we do have, what, 5 Spirit Walkers in this army, as well as the Tauren Chieftain, with a bunch of mana in store, just so he can get a lot of shockwaves off. Unfortunately, the Fairy Dragons aren't actually come in time. One very nice shockwave goes off, and level 4 immediately hits here for the Tauren Chieftain, and we do now have actually a lot of units from Cash being caught in a very bad position of really clumping up and not being able to attack the units they want to, but finally a couple of Raiders making it into the back and being able to pick off some of these dots. One of the Fairy Dragons does back it into the battle, but it hasn't been put into the form yet, and it has this, actually looks like a lot of these dots are being microed away. You can see they aren't getting many hits on, but that's not too important in this situation. It's more important to get your heroes in a good position. Unfortunately, that nice shockwave goes off, takes down a lot of these dots to low health, and actually Una does lose a couple more as he's forced to TP away yet again, and that's, I think that's the third TP Una's had to use. Really had to use a lot of TPs, and those are very expensive. That's 1,000 gold worth of TPs that he's lost, and looks like we do have Una now going to need to buy a healing, or just he's probably going to need to use one of his healing scrolls before he takes another battle, because lots of these dots are pretty low, and one shockwave, especially from a level 5 Tauren Chieftain, which could be coming soon, would just absolutely decimate them. Obviously, a level 3 level 3 shockwave does 200 damage. A dot only has, I think, 380 health. Yeah, 380 health. So it takes him down to or less than half health from full health. And obviously, if you're at half health, you're basically you do die to one shockwave. So really need to be very careful about having all your dots at high hit points, especially with this Blade Master around as well. Blade Master actually does get scouted out by the Hawk Noah. It looks like there's, oh yeah, the Hawk is around, yeah. So he does eventually get scouted out and gets very fired as well. So he will be unable to do too much. And you can see Cash having to be careful now with the very fired Blade Master. Doesn't want to reveal where Cash is, or where the Tauren Chieftain is, because the Tauren Chieftain doing some big creeping. Ooh, +6 agility. Very nice item there for that Blade Master. When Cash passes it over, that's just going to make him even more durable. I think he's going to have something like +14 agility. Yeah, he's going to have a lot of agility, certainly. +12, I beg your pardon. And it looks like we will be having this Blade Master cycled yet again, but obviously it's just sort of a waste of mana at this point, because you want to stop the Blade Master from attacking you, but at the same time you need to have all these dots with a lot of mana. It looks like he has enough for quite a few cyclones at least, but the big thing is gonna be Cash isn't even healing his Tauren Chieftain at the moment because he lost his shop, and that's very bad now for Cash. Unfortunately for him, it means he took too much damage during creeping, and he might now be in a bit of a position. Gonna go for the base trade instead. That's probably a good decision in this situation, because obviously he can avoid the damage on his Tauren Chieftain by getting his Tauren Chieftain to attack things like Moonwells. Meanwhile, his Raiders attack things like Ancients of Winter. Very nice by Una, has already realized what's going on, getting his Nature's Blessing, and then also TPing in to try and defend it. But meantime, he did a lot of damage to this base. Looks like a 5p on survive, but that's really not many at all. And still no expansion attempts by either player since that failed one by Cash. And so we will be having Una moving out yet again. Gonna try and actually, I think Cash should probably try and build up a Voodoo Launch somewhere. I'm not sure if he's sneakily put one up, but he really does need to get one, because his hero is so low, and actually a bunch of his Raiders are really low as well, so really does need to get that going as soon as possible. And looks like we do have this Blade Master actually now being scouted out by this Cool Beast, and the Blade Master is going to go for the attack on it by the looks of things, and this Blade Master just such a force to be reckoned with at this point. And looks like Una doing some more creeping, but again he's 333. Getting any of these heroes to level 4 isn't huge. I mean, getting Blade Master or Beast Master level 4 is alright, but really it's not that necessary. I think he'd be better just to try and attack at this point, and especially considering how low lots of these units are from Cash, and how still no Voodoo Launch, finally Voodoo Launch being built here for Cash, but actually level 5 now coming off from that one Cool Beast kill. Very important there for Cash. Obviously, as I say, those level 3 shockwaves, especially with 300 with full mana at the moment, just gonna be so much damage coming out. And look at this, Una putting up a bunch of Ancients of War. He must be worried about a base trade. That's really interesting for him, and actually going for an expansion as well in this far corner. As I was saying, actually, this is a good choice by him, because it's because obviously he can just go and attack Cash whenever Cash moves out to do something scouting like that. And looks like we do have Una now going to be able to do a lot of tanking with these Ancients of War. That's very smart, and also doing a lot of damage to these Raiders as well. You can see how much damage they take, and in the meantime, obviously do almost no damage to buildings, but apart from the burrows. And the TP is now coming in, and it's defensive TP actually, so he won't be able to get any good cyclones off. But oh, Shockwave comes in slightly misplaced there by Cash. It would have been nicer if it was a bit lower. That is one of the things you have to worry about when you TP, and it's all your units are clumping up, and those Shockwaves can be just so huge if you're not careful. And again, actually, when you're walking around like this, you need to be careful that your units all don't line up like they were a second ago. And actually, look at this. We do have a bit of a battle here. Oh, huge Shockwave takes out 3 dots immediately. Healing Scroll being used a second too late, unfortunately. And Una now using his Invuln Pot on his Demon Hunter, which was very, very low on health. And a bunch of these Raiders still actually sort of low. The Tauren Chieftain now out of mana, so does need to be a bit more careful. And looks like we do have, oh my god, this critical strike going off on the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter now very, very low. TP being used by Demon Hunter yet again. So many TPs being used here by Una. And looks like we do have a bunch of these Raiders surviving at very low health. Very, very nice there for Cash. And in the meantime, no Moon Juice left. We will need to see some Moonstones being got, presumably. No, he's not actually buying. He's buying healing potions instead. And bear in mind, he does have this expansion now, but it will take him a while to actually transfer any wisps there. Or actually, has he already done that? He doesn't have any wisps around here. I'm not sure where they are. And so we'll have to see at very least. Finally, a Moonstone being used, and actually one of these Moonwalls will be taken out. Actually, 2 of them will be taken out. Healing Scroll being used by Cash preemptively because a bunch of his Raiders were very, very low. And Cash now not quite enough mana for another Shockwave, and will need to be very, very wary of that Demon Hunter. He doesn't want to get a mana burn before he can get off his last Shockwave. And looks like we do have a Healing Scroll being used now by Una as well. And oh, critical strike comes out, takes down that Demon Hunter. Very, very huge for Cash, who does lose 1 Raider there, but oh, 4-4 now hitting for Una. But without that level 4 Demon Hunter, it's going to be very tricky for Una. Una now going to need to, I'm not sure if he's mining at all here. No, he's not mining at all quite yet. Doesn't have any wisps around either. Shockwave goes off, takes a lot of these dots down to the half health. Very, very important to do that sort of thing as well. Obviously, just because it's gonna, they can't be healed up on the Moonwalls now because it all needs to go up to the heroes. And it looks like the Cash actually taking a lot of damage on his units, really lost quite a few, and we do not have this Blade Master now on the run because obviously he is worried about being cycloned when surrounded, even just by dots and stuff. You do need to be worried because he can't keep his army in that battle for any longer, especially considering I think he has no dispels left, so any cyclones would basically be permanent. And this expansion is still not mining. Oh, this is so bad here for Una, who he had those. Oh, actually, look, he's uprooted all his buildings now, and he's probably going to walk them out here to try and take this expansion as well. And the Blade Master now scouting out this just as the mining starts. So unfortunate here for Una, and Cash now actually going to attack the Tree of Life, but should bring his whole army and try and take down the, either bring his whole army and take down the Tree of Life, or just use the Blade Master to take down the Entangled Gold Mine to buy a bit of time, and hope to do something else. And in the meantime, Cash rebuilding his food lounge yet again, and actually having to rebuild peons, which is pretty unfortunate, but still building raiders, and that's very, very useful as well. And we do now have these units, these buildings. Obviously they're much faster considering that Nature's Blessing was researched. They will be plopped down here almost certainly, and then they will be able to start mining. But at this point, really, with this mine now gone, there's really only one option left at this point for Una, which is just to oh, he's not even stopping. Is he? Ooh, this is interesting. He might be going for one last push with all his buildings. Oh, that could be very, very interesting because obviously his Demon Hunter will be out in just a second, and with these heroes, these buildings can do so much damage, especially to raiders, and you really can just plop them down in your opponent's base. You can even put them down, things like root them next to buildings, and then have them do a huge amount of damage. But this is so gutsy here by Una going for this. I'm really, really amazed at this because he could just plop it down and have a mining expansion of his own, and instead it looks like, oh, Cash actually scouts this out though. Level 5 Blade Master, such a durable Blade Master, and I'm gonna come in actually gonna get Cyclone here. I'm not sure that's the best choice. Oh, he's almost doesn't have enough mana for Windwalk. Will the mana burn go off in time? No, it doesn't. Oh, so close. That could have been the end of the Blade Master, and almost certainly then the end of the game there for Cash, but he gets very, very lucky there with getting that Windwalk off just in time. And looks like we do have, because obviously he wasn't expecting the Demon Hunter to come in at just that second, because it has just come back. Demon Hunter now got some very nice items on him. Might actually do well to sell the Staff of Teleportation at this point. I'm not sure if it's absolutely necessary at this point. You probably could do, do with the money, and maybe he could buy something else. Actually, if he had 1 more gold and he sold that Staff of TP, he could buy an Invuln Pot. But unfortunately, it's just not quite enough. And oh, look at this, Cash gonna go for the killing the Moonwalls at very least. But at the same time, that's not gonna be quite enough. Actually, one interesting thing is that this staff on the oh, did he sell the staff? Yes, he has stolen his Staff of Preservation, and that's just because obviously you'd just be staffing through this Tree of Eternity, which is completely pointless. Now look at this. I think Una has managed to pull a real trick here on Cash. Cash goes for the base race, but there's just not but there's not all of Cash's buildings here, and we do now have peons being brought down, so maybe I wonder how much money Cash actually has in the bank. Cash has a lot of gold in the bank. He can put up an expansion of his own. That'd be very, very nice. Or if you could just put buildings around the map, war mills, things like that, tend to be quite cheap. Actually, there's a lot of lumber, so war mills you tend to do when you're just selling items to get them. But certainly, he can put down really any building he likes at this point, and just putting down sneaky buildings all around the map is very, very useful. One Wisp actually here, wasting a lot of time from Cash, and Cash really does need to get in here. And look at this, the buildings all being rooted in a very defensive position, so that the dots can hide behind, and the heroes can go in the little cracks here to tank all of the damage. And there's so many melee units, that's really, really bad for Cash. He needs to find a perfect position for this battle. Coming in for this shockwave, this could be a huge shockwave because the dots haven't been separated, and yes it is. Oh, a huge shockwave hits 6 dots, and all of them down to less than half health. Very, very nice shockwave there, and he has 2 more shockwaves in the bank, assuming no mana burns can go off, and you can ensure that if you get good ensnares off, and there are a lot of raiders still about. And it looks like we do have one Ancient of Wind actually going down. It wasn't rooted, but it wasn't really necessary. It would have been nice to have that. Actually, I guess keeping the Ancient of Wonders alive is useful, because you can always sell items, and if you're in a panic to buy things. And actually, it looks like this Tinker going to. Ooh, he staffs out to this burrow, and this is the last. But oh no, there's actually a Voodoo Lounge here, and we do need to see this a reaction here from Cash. So Cash now looks like he doesn't have any more buildings in production at the moment, so he will need to keep these buildings alive. He's actually repairing this with this one peon, but he doesn't pop it back in time, and it looks like we will have to have this Tinker on the run. But oh my God, Cash now maybe even no, he's not going to lose this burrow, but at the same time, this could be, we could see some nice guerrilla warfare. And I was completely wrong saying the staff should be sold. Very, very nice play. I'm not sure. Actually, sending the Tinker out, you think maybe the Beastmaster would be better, because those Quillbeasters do a whole bunch of damage to the burrows, and you can constantly just keep your Tinker around and do damage to it. And bear in mind that the Cash is now being revealed, so Una will know that this Voodoo Lunch is the only other building he needs to take out. But at this point, really, his units are so low, he needs to be so wary here of the shockwave, which is going to go off yet again. Eventually, Cash actually not going for it at the moment, and it looks like Tinker now putting down another Pocket Factory there, and we do now have that burrow about to go down. But this Voodoo Lunch now 500 health. We'll have to see whether or not Cash can, or Una can somehow get to it, and if not, it just could be so bad. Look at this Tauren Chieftain, so close to level 6, does get, oh, huge shockwave, kills 5 dots. Actually, Cash just finally now being revealed, and Una will now know. I was saying it before, but he will now know. But oh my God, only 2 buildings now left for Una, and this could be so close. Healing potion being used on this Beastmaster. This Tinker now gets in the back and is going for this Voodoo Lunch. Will the Cash be able to do it? He has this level 6 Tauren Chieftain, but will it be enough? And oh my God, shockwave goes off to take down 2 of the dots. Oh, this Voodoo Lunch out to 100 health. Will it be enough? Yes, I think it will be. He does get it, and Una takes that game with the base race. So close. Very nice play there by Una, managing to get his heroes around, managing to staff that Tinker out to make sure he took down all of the buildings, and make sure Cash was out of money. Fantastic play there by Una. Really great decision making in the end, and a really solid game all around. So I hope you enjoyed that game, folks, and I'll see you guys shortly for another game. Thanks.